It is my pleasure to introduce the students of Valimar School. Have eighth graders Keaton, Shea, Samantha, and Gabriella, and Nasira, and seventh graders Michelle, Dylan, and Katerina. Excuse me. They will lead us in the flag salute as well as read the land acknowledgement and provide us with some highlights from Valimar.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Pacifica School District acknowledges that we gather on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramakush Ohlone people. As guests, we humbly extend our gratitude to the Ramakush Ohlone elders and community. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on the traditional homeland, and we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples.
As the original stewards of this land, the Ramakush Ohlone understand the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of maintaining harmony with nature.
Likewise, Pacifica School District commits to teaching our school community how to be responsible stewards of this land.
Hello, my name is Dylan and I'm a seventh grader at Valimar. I'm here to talk about the things I enjoy about journalism class. The journalism team's job is to make the yearbook and the news videos, which are released weekly. I made the intro for the videos and am also the anchor for some of the sections. I love editing and effects because it allows me to create things in my mind's eye. Thank you and goodbye.
Hola, mi nombre es Nasira y soy nueva estudiante de Vallemar. He disfrutado bastante estar estudiando en Vallemar y he tenido gente apoyándome desde el principio como amigos y maestros.
That's going to translate that for her.
What she said was, my name is Nasira. I'm a new student at Valimar. I'm enjoying being here at Valimar. People have helped me a lot since I started school, and I really like my friends and teachers.
Hello, my name is Shay and I'm an eighth grader here at Valimar. What I like most about Valimar is our electives. Our electives, they give us creative freedom and let us end our days with a good feeling. Last year, I was in the art elective, although there was another teacher at the time. I trust that art is just as good this year. I also hear from my friends that they've been loving our new band teacher. I'm excited to see how far we get in this school year.
Hi, my name is Michelle and I'm in seventh grade. Something I like about Valimar are the electives. There are many options like band, study skills, journalism, La Garza, and more. They provide opportunities for students to explore their options. For instance, I'm here because I'm in broadcasting. Band students can perform in concerts and represent our school. Study skills can help students improve their studying and help them academically. The electives are a great chance for students to learn things out of academic topics. Thank you.
Hello, and my name is Gabriella. I'm an eighth grader here at Valimar. There are multiple things that I love about Valimar, but in general, band is my favorite. One reason why is because of the opportunities it gives you. One example is band camp. It improves and your social skills, and not to mention your listening skills as well, which you will use in your everyday life. Another thing about band that is wonderful is that it lets you interact with different grades. 7th and 8th graders speak to each other while setting up and playing their instruments, all while creating a great community to make harmonious sounds for the group. The K-5 music program is also pretty great, with teaching kids all about instrumental sounds and different genres of music from a young age and helping them expand their knowledge.
Hello, my name is Keaton Sparks. I'm in eighth grade at Valmar, and my favorite thing to do at Valmar is participate in the yearbook and journalism elective. We get to create the Valmar broadcast that is shown school-wide. We talk about things coming up and things that have passed. Many teachers have told us that they love the broadcast because it is informative towards their class and is also something fun to look forward to. As well as the Valmar broadcast, we also get to make the yearbook. We enjoy taking pictures and helping students feel like they are part of this community by including them throughout the yearbook. Since there are only 10 of us in the elective, we are very close and benefit from each other's company. We work well together and are very efficient in accomplishing our work. All of us are very honored to be given the opportunity to create something that everyone around the school appreciates. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Katarina and I'm in 7th grade. The main thing about Valimar that I like is the broadcasting and yearbook elective. It provides us with a hands-on experience with filming, editing, and audio. It also gives us a chance to write our own scripts and gives us background on writing dialogue. The yearbook part of the elective also lets us students design and have creative freedom with the yearbook, such as choosing a theme, title, and a lot of other fun things. I'm glad that we can have classes outside of academics and possibly help us later in life. Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Samantha Lee, and I'm an eighth grader at Valimar. My favorite thing about Valimar is how welcoming it is to new students. Being one myself, I can confirm. When I came to Valimar in 6th grade, everyone was very kind, and the teachers helped me find new ways to approach problems and help me adjust to the new environment I wasn't used to. I made new friends quickly, and meeting so many friendly and caring people was a significant relief. Everyone was so amazingly nice. It shaped me to be the person I am today and taught me to treat people very welcoming and accept new students with open arms and hope to make them feel as welcome as I did when I joined the Valimar community.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can be on the list so we can listen to your broadcast?
Yes.
Normally I just send it out to the teachers and staff, but I also share the link on Facebook so she can share it with whoever else you want to share it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you also to all the parents that are here for us today. I'm not here. Such a good job. All right. So, while we're clearing the room, Barbara, would you go ahead and help us out with the roll call? Here. Here.
Here. Sorry, I can't hear very well. I couldn't hear very well here.
Did you want to make a statement about?
Yeah, Trustee Patel, if you can let us know if there's any 18-year-olds in your home right now.
Yeah, there is someone over the age of 18. My husband, who's also a parent in Pacifica School District. That is the only other over 18 person other than myself.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Villalobos.
Here. All right, the district records the audio portion of the meetings. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time period for inspection by members of the public on district equipment without charge. In-person speakers wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please complete a request card with your name, address, and the item number and submit it to the board president or superintendent. You'll be called to address the board and may speak for up to 3 minutes. Virtual speakers, excuse me, wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please submit your first and last name and agenda item you wish to speak on in the Q&A area of the webinar. Please do not submit comments or questions in the Q&A area. You'll be called to address the board. Your microphone will be unmuted and you'll be asked if you may speak for up to 3 minutes. Please note, the public is welcome to provide comment to the board. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes unless extended or limited by the board, the vote of a board. A maximum of 20 minutes unless extended by the board is allocated for each subject discussion. The Brown Act opening meeting regulations under the board must operate must operate, do not allow board members to comment or on non-agenda items or information you may bring up that are not on the agenda. Additionally, no action can be taken. However, the board may give direction to the staff following a comment. All right, approval of the agenda. This is an action item. Are there any questions regarding the agenda of October 2nd, 2023 regular board meeting? Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Barbara?
Yes, so we're gonna do by roll call vote since trustee Patel is conferencing. Trustee Vidal,
Yes.
trustee Burkini,
Yes.
trustee Doggett. Yes. Trustee Patel,
Yes.
trustee Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. The board met in closed session to discuss closed session items. A conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 of one potential case. Conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, agencies that designate Representative Superintendent Bernice Williams and Karen Resendez, Lozando Smith, Employee Organization CSCA. Also, a conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6 regarding negotiations with LSCA, and conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6 agency designated representative negotiations regarding Laguna Salada Management Association. The board did not take any action in closed section. All right, we're moving on to approval of the consent agenda.
Before we go,
Mhm.
can we get somebody to, in case it's hard for me to hear you
Yeah.
because they're so loud.
Thank you.
The principal's coming.
It's hard to hear.
I know. Okay.
Close the window.
Was consent agenda. So all items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. And if any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so request, any item shall be removed from this section and placed in the regular order of business, following approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions regarding the consent agenda?
No.
So, public, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
A motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Oh, okay, Needy Patel, seconds.
Trustee Vidal. Yes. Trustee Burkini,
Yes.
trustee Doggett.
Yes.
Trustee Patel.
Yes.
Trustee Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. So next we move on to superintendent special recognitions.
Thank you. So this is always the fun part. Not move down this time. And actually, because we always have our backs to the board out.
Good evening, everyone. So this evening, we have the pleasure of recognizing an individual who has served our community for several years. This individual has retired on September 29th, 2023, after working for the city of Pacifica doing children and child care for 25 full years and many more as a part-time employee. Ms. Greta Hayes holds a child development site supervisor permit issued by the Commission on Teaching Credentialing. Ms. Hayes's impact at Valley Mar community is immeasurable. She has formed lasting relationships with staff members and always went above and beyond her job duties. She has served countless children and families in the after-school daycare program at Valley Mar and Cabrillo. In addition to being a Valley Mar child care coordinator, she was an active art volunteer at Cabrillo for 9 years when her son, AJ, attended. She was very, very involved. She's always been a very involved volunteer and a community partner. Art, field trip volunteer, classroom liaison, you name it, and she did it. Additionally, Ms. Hayes served as a Teamsters 865 shop steward while employed with the City of Pacifica. Shop stewards are leaders who enforce the contract, advocate for coworkers, and inspire solidarity among membership. The district as a whole has benefited from having Greta Hayes. We wish her a happy and deserved retirement. Do something fun. We want to thank her for her service and for making a positive difference in this world. Go, Ms. Hayes. So this evening, if we can have our board president. Come on down.
You're not chasing kids around the parking lot.
So, on behalf of Pacifica School District Board of Trustees and Superintendent, we present the Certificate of Appreciation awarded to Greta Hayes. Thank you for your service and commitment to our students and staff, awarded on this 4th day of October, 2023. Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate
It has been a joy to have served the children of Pacifica, both 18 years at Cabrillo and the last 7 here at Valleymar. Some people are just not cut out for an office job. God bless you if you are. Some of us thrive on the chaos. I'm doing okay in this first week. We'll see what happens, how much I miss it. So, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, you'll see me around. Absolutely. Thank you.
That's a hard job. I watched all these years watching those people chase those kids. All right. Well, thank you. All right, communications. Speakers wishing to address the board. We first have LSCA.
Good evening. LSEA and CSEA hosted a back to school social at Sharp Park last week. It was great to gather and see everyone in a casual setting. LSEA appreciated CTA Board of Directors member Greg Bonacorsi for joining us at the event as well. Over the past few weeks, I've had the pleasure of going around to each school site, speaking with certificated staff about their challenges and successes this year. Topics range from phonics to report cards to needing teacher-directed prep time. We also shared with them our focus for negotiations for the 2024-2025 Sunshine and look forward to their feedback and suggestions. When I came and spoke at closed session with you this evening, I shared with you some of the hopes we have regarding to coming to a fair agreement for compensation for the 23-24 school year and remembering to honor all our members in the process. Our next LSEA meeting is October 19th. Again, board members, this is a very easy, low-pressure way for you to show signs of support for our certificated staff. As you are well aware, our members want it and hope someday you'll oblige. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next representative from CSCA.
Hello, my name is Nicole Sayers and I am the president of CSEA Chapter 128. Tonight, I'd like to welcome Bonnie Maffei, a new crossing guard at Valleymar School. I also want to recognize the retirement of Caroline Lee, a valued paraprofessional of the LMEC preschool program for many, many years. The CSEA Above and Beyond recipients for tonight are Mimi Agubionde and Rose McElnery. Both are long-term paraprofessionals in Miss Christina Bailey's class at Ortega School. Both CSEA members are being recognized by their teacher, who expressed how they consistently go above and beyond in her classroom every day to support their students and to support this district. CSEA Chapter 128 is very proud of all our Above and Beyond recipients, and we appreciate all that you do. The CSEA Above and Beyond program is celebrating its 3rd year. Since its inception, approximately 52 CSEA members have received this acknowledgement. Included in this acknowledgement is a very small presentation in front of coworkers and other union members, and a $5 gift card to the nearest coffee house to their workplace. Not a big deal. Or is it? I have witnessed members cry when acknowledged in this way. One recipient who has been in the district for many years actually stated that this was the first time they actually felt appreciated for the job that they have been doing. It may not be a big deal, but it makes people feel like someone sees them and the good work they do. And that is a big deal. I hope all of us can make a bigger effort to let others know how much they are appreciated and how important they are to this district. It is a big deal. I'm grateful to work with the kind of people who came up with this idea, because it has turned into a really meaningful expression of thankfulness. Now, last year, we were able to negotiate Article 15, safety, in our collective bargaining agreement. We negotiated such things as safe conditions, accident reports, air quality, restroom and water access in our workplaces. So now we have a couple of safety issues that I did not think I had to negotiate, because I thought the district would understand that the safety of all staff in classrooms and our work sites would just be taken care of. First, I'd like to address that some of our classrooms simply do not have enough staff to keep everyone safe. In the classrooms I work in, the district said they were going to use a student to adult ratio. I'm still unsure of what the ratio is. Rather than a ratio, I wish that the district would have taken into account student behavior profile. Behavior profiles are different for each student and oftentimes may justify the need for additional staff in a classroom. The reason for the additional staff is to keep the adults and the students all safe emotionally and physically. As time goes on, the expectation is that the adults follow student behavior plans and that the difficult behaviors decrease. And this is when we may be able to fade some staff out. Currently, we need additional staff so that everyone feels safe. Secondly, some of our work sites are simply unsafe for members and the other staff who share their space with them. Some buildings have asbestos. When these floors crack and move, they become unsafe because the asbestos can get into the air, and when human beings breathe it in, it can cause serious health issues, including cancer. CSEA has reached out to the district on occasion to discuss how the issue will be dealt with, but we have not heard any updates so far. I recently was made aware of 2 windows in a workplace used by CSEA members that are actually screwed or nailed shut. They cannot be opened by hand. Besides not being able to offer fresh air to these members, if there was a fire near their workspaces, they cannot escape. They tell me that the window is actually made of plexiglass, which is a very difficult thing to break. So besides not being able to open the window, they could not be able to break the glass to get out if there was a problem. This is not acceptable. I hope I am correct in thinking that the district also believes this is not acceptable and will take time, money, and energy to fix this problem. The last safety issue CSEA has is the ESS building where many CSEA members work. This is building just behind the DO. It is a long building with only one entrance and exit and is ADA non-compliant. If a fire breaks out in the front of the building, the employees who work beyond the fire will be trapped. There is no exit for them to get out, and if they should need adaptive equipment to help them maneuver, that would be very difficult, if not impossible as well. These are serious issues to CSEA members and things that we thought that leadership of the district would consider for the lives of our workers. I hope I'm right to think that we will hear some positive updates on these issues soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, people wishing to address the board. I don't have any cards. Are there any cards?
People online.
2 people online?
John. Ready?
Yes. Okay, so we will go to the people online.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, Dawn.
Hi, my name's Dawn Regi. I'm the parent of a 4th grader at Ortega Elementary, and I'm calling to speak about 2 items. The first item is construction at Ortega. We're really excited about the field that's scheduled to be complete in January. And our excitement is there, but we're also really struggling with the construction. One thing that could be improved is a privacy barrier or a tarp that's fixed to the garden perimeter that is shared with the field. Our families fund garden science and a garden science teacher at Ortega and for students. And currently the view for students from the garden is of bulldozers. There's dust from the soil that blows in. And it's also so loud that students are having to move into the greenhouse for just verbal instruction and then going out. We understand that we can't control the noise, but a privacy barrier could help students with dust and then also feeling like they're in a garden space and not a construction site. There is actually a barrier on the school grounds that ends at the beginning of the garden. I'm not quite sure why it doesn't continue along the garden perimeter, but we're asking for the district to address that for our students. The second thing I wanted to talk about is just my continued disappointment in the district's ability to provide basic grounds attention at Ortega Elementary. We've been waiting since the beginning of the school year for district grounds management to address a variety of issues. There's a woody plant that could cause harm to a student if it's fallen upon in the front of the school. We have a perimeter fence that's 20 feet away from student classrooms that is absolutely lined with poison oak. And that is, again, 20 feet away from the 4th and 5th grade wing. There's also basic yard maintenance, like blowing the piles of pine needles that have piled up in the parking lot, removing broken branches from trees, our cypress trees along the walkway, and many other issues that I believe are just in the district notes. In past years, we've had parents and guardians and grandparents actually come to clear the paths to Ortega for the start of the school year. We had that happen this year, but the district needs to stop relying upon families to step in to do this basic systems work. The district needs to make sure that our students can access all parts of their campus safely. And I just wonder what it's going to take for these things like poison oak removal from a campus to happen. Again, our students can physically walk out of their classroom door and touch poison oak within 10 seconds. So I'm wondering if it needs, if it takes 120 students to get poison oak for the district systems and district management for buildings and grounds to start addressing these things. Please do better. Thank you.
Next.
Diana Chow.
Diana Chow. If Diana Chow is online, if you could mute yourself, we can't hear you.
Maybe it was an accident. She put her hands up.
Okay.
Wanted to say.
Okay. Any other speakers online? Put your name in the Q&A. Okay. All right. Then we will move on. First will be board correspondence. Does anyone have any correspondence this week or in the last couple of weeks?
I don't have.
Anyone?
A correspondence?
Yeah, correspondence.
Why do we always get these? mixed
I
up?
don't know. We've kind of merged them
Okay.
differently in different years. Okay. All right, then, board superintendent communications.
So just so you know, I've been really overwhelmed, but tomorrow I am going to be on a panel along with trustee Bill Lobos. It's going to be a dialogue about the impact of racism. It's going to be at IBL. I have flyers here that you guys can take back. I know it's late. I'm late getting flyers to you, but I hope that you guys will attend because I think it's really necessary for our community. So it's not a school event, but it's put on by the Pacifica Peace people, and it's going to be a panel and open discussion. And so I hope to see all of you there.
Can you remind me what time it is?
It's at 4 o'clock. It's at 6:30.
Oh, 6:30. 6:30 at IBL.
Well, doors open at 6:30, 7 to 8:30. So it's a short event. And we're just going to discuss the impact.
Awesome. Thank you. Elizabeth?
Okay, I and the entire community had the Fog Fest, which was a big success. The Ingrid B. Lacey Ocean Shore combination marching band marched in that, and the Valimar Cabrillo marched with the new band director. The guest bands were also Terra Nova, Jefferson High School, and Reardon High School. And this year, for the first time, they all gathered at Ingrid B. Lacey beforehand, and it was really fun for the kids to see each other getting ready and lining up and practicing and before they went down at the beginning of the parade. And then they had a small concert at the end of the parade, again at Ingrid B. Lacey. So that was a lot of fun, and the whole town got to see them. Excuse me. I attended some meetings regarding the Ortega Field striping, and I think that's a go now. They've pretty much been finalizing that. I think the community will be happy with the different sports represented there. There was a HEART annual get together. HEART is the housing, low-income housing committee organization for San Mateo County. And they had a really nice get together with a lot of their fundraisers and their board there. And then I also attended the LSEA, CSEA social that was at the golf course, and that was very well attended, and it seemed like everyone had a good time. So thank you for the invite. Yeah.
Can everybody hear?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I had my regular bi-weekly meeting with Dr. Williams. I took a communication walk with teacher Rachel Merlo. For transparency, she taught all of my children. And we talked about issues at IBL, and I listened. I visited Ortega's first day of their garden. Agree with the parents that while we were there, there were some workers, so maybe a barrier there would be good. Then let me see. The new instructor for the garden and greenhouse, she's a young woman and she knows how to engage the kids. She was playing games and all of the kids loved it. I was like, this is a really good second grade class. Also, I've received, I'm going to say approximately 10 emails from the Ocean Shore parents, and I've read every single one of them. And then also I'll be with Kai tomorrow at IBL from 7 to 8:30 for the Pacifica Peace People talk on racism. And the way I understand it is we're going to give some examples of what we've experienced as far as racism. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Trustee Patel, do you have anything?
Prior to, I had my bi-weekly with the superintendent. I attended Fog Fest, and it was great to see the Pacifica School District booth there, and parents stopping by. And that is all I had, because on Monday of last week, I had a child. So correspondence between now and then. But I just wanted to note that I also received about 10 emails from the Ocean Shore second grade parents as well.
All right, thank you. I also received several letters and from Ocean Shore and responded to them and read them all. So thank you. I did a site visit with Mrs. Alderson at IBL, which was really nice to walk around and got the updates on what's been happening at IBL. I've been having my regular meetings with Dr. Williams. I was at the Fog Fest for an hour trying to recruit people here. And I also went to the LSCA, CSCA socials. So thank you very much for the invite. And that's it for me.
Again, good evening. I had the opportunity to attend the feedback meeting, parent meeting today, and I learned a lot of information just about parents and their expectations of the district, and then also had an opportunity to share our goals around our services for our students receiving special education services. I had an opportunity to meet with our outstanding site leaders this week and just having a conversation about how to continue to move forward around a few issues, including behavior, resource needs, and then also working in collaboration with one another to address some of our things that are going well, which we want to get in the habit of speaking about more of. I was very excited to visit Mr. Yu's class at Ortega. I had a chance to visit, and I also had an opportunity to play instruments with the students. And so I had a wonderful time. I did a solo, which I don't know how great I did. I thought I was playing something familiar, although no one recognized me. But nonetheless, it was extremely fun. So just again, I attended the CFEA, LFEA social, and I had a great time interacting and interfacing with our colleagues.
All right, thank you. All right, so next we're going to move on to our celebration and recognition of newly permanent certificated and classified staff. Dr. Torres.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Dr. Williams. Tonight, we celebrated and recognized newly permanent certificated and classified staff. Congratulations to the certificated and classified staff. Listed below, I will be reading all the names who have moved to permanent status in the Pacifica School District. For certificated staff, the standard is a 3-year process, starting as a temporary or probationary teacher, dependent on the staffing needs of the district. For the year of hiring, with the first day of the 3rd year, they become a fully certificated employee. For classified staff, the standard is a 6-month probationary period. Join me in congratulating the following employees. Under certificated, Gabriella Wiseman at Cabrillo, kindergarten teacher. Jessica Park, Ingrid B. Lacey, 6th grade English language arts and social science teacher. Becky Howard, Ocean Shore, response to instruction and intervention teacher. Stephanie Lucas, Ocean Shore, 3rd grade teacher. Bridget Gatner, Ocean Shore, 4th, 5th grade teacher. Chelsea McDowell, Ortega, kindergarten teacher. Meredith Shannon, Ortega, transitional kindergarten teacher. Connor Science, Ortega, school counselor. Stephanie Simons, Ortega, education specialist. Yi Diana Chow, Sunset Ridge, transitional kindergarten teacher. Stephanie May, Sunset Ridge, world language teacher. Morgan Mooney, Sunset Ridge, kindergarten teacher. Jay Stevens, Sunset Ridge, school counselor. Clara Sugarakis, Valimar, 5th grade teacher. For classified, Mary Larson, Cabrillo, paraprofessional. Diana Stella, Cabrillo, paraprofessional. Matthew Ines, Ingrid B. Lacey, paraprofessional, and he is with us today. So congratulations, Matthew. Pamela Martin, Ingrid B. Lacey, child nutrition cook. Adrienne Bulantini, Ingrid B. Lacey, paraprofessional. Sarah Stewart, Ocean Shore, paraprofessional. Marilupe Alcaide Fadi, Ocean Shore, paraprofessional. Enid Zimmerman, Ocean Shore, paraprofessional. Nicole Sims, Ortega, paraprofessional. Clara Bellinger, Ortega, paraprofessional. Christina Kashifarov, Ortega, paraprofessional. Leida Lopez, Ortega, custodian 2. Aaron Turley, district office groundskeeper. Zach Quigley, district office groundskeeper. Maralupe Alcade Fadi, district office van driver. Julie Alceo, Valimar, library media technician. Nancy Ochoa, Valimar, school assistant. And Bonnie Mafe, Valimar, paraprofessional. Congratulations.
Right, thank you. All right, and let's see, Pacifica School District, congratulations staff who have moved from SES. Okay, we've already done this. Enrollment. Oh, okay, sorry, enrollment and attendance. Mr. Barkelt. I'm still figuring out this little scripts. I only have 2 more meetings. Oh,
Checking out.
We'll be doing this one with a little help from my friends here from Sunset Ridge. It's been a little while. Good evening, Board of Trustees and Dr. Williams. Tonight, we're very excited to be presenting an enrollment and attendance update. We really want to be highlighting our new attendance campaign, which is Attendance Matters. We're going to share some information with you about that. We're going to share some information about updated enrollment numbers and enrollment trends for the current school year, and tell you about our district's attendance campaign. So those are the objectives of the presentation. In connection to our district's guideposts, so always being anchored with the foundations that we're working on, we're actually working on 2 aspects of ACE for this presentation, and this is attendance and community engagement, because the Attendance Matters campaign, it's essential to have the community engaged in this work. So two aspects of ACE for this work. This is our enrollment grid. So it has all the schools, all the grade levels, all of our student numbers. And on the next page, we kind of have some trends for enrollment for this school year. We've talked about this before at other board meetings, but we are down. Our enrollment is down. We're down 32 students from this time last year. Because of this reason, this means our wait lists are very, very small. Most families got their first choice. All but 5 have received their first choice placement as of now. Students will be continued to be placed from wait lists as spots become available at desired schools. And obviously, we hope to get more students enrolling throughout the school year in the district. So those are our enrollment numbers and enrollment trends. So shifting gears to our awareness campaign, our attendance awareness campaign. Attendance matters. Woo! That is the name of our campaign, and it's very simple. And this is very common, slogan, so to speak. Attendance matters. The goal is to convey the importance of attending school, and the other goal is to reduce our chronic absenteeism rate. So we want to convey the importance of attending school, and in doing so, hopefully improve attendance, reduce chronic absenteeism. We need to remember that student engagement and positive school climate are really important foundational pieces to facilitate attendance. So I think this work always will be kind of enhanced by working on engagement pieces and improving school climate. And we want to cultivate and celebrate, and we are working, we're working with Sunset Ridge on this. We want to cultivate attendance heroes. So this is an acronym: here, every day, ready to learn, on time. Thank you, Sunset Ridge. So that is the acronym that we will be pushing forth in the district as part of our campaign. What this looks like is districts and school sites will be promoting the campaign through multiple means: assemblies, messaging, newsletters, signage around school sites, and those types of things. And we're going to track the effectiveness of this, obviously, throughout the school year. It's really easy to do so. And it kind of changes every day. So it's kind of fun to look, and hopefully we see that improvement. And we'll gauge the effectiveness of the campaign, and we'll make shifts if we need to. So it may go without saying, but chronic absenteeism is very important. It is obviously it impacts academic skills, learning, test scores, early literacy. It disproportionately affects students of color and vulnerable students. And obviously low attendance is going to be a warning sign for dropping out risk. We've seen chronic absenteeism really get worse after the pandemic. It's pretty illuminating that prior to the pandemic, it was 12%. After the pandemic in 2022, it jumped to 30% in the state for chronic absenteeism. Very challenging. So as a reminder, chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% of the academic year for any reason, including excused absences. And this is the thing that one of the pieces that we need to continue to remind families is even excused absences. So even being sick, you're still out of school, and that will contribute to our chronic absenteeism. Based on a 180-day school year, if a student missed about 18 days of school, that would be chronically absent. And our process for addressing this, so we have the campaign of awareness, and then our process is looking at data, attendance data, and digging deeper into that data and trying to notice kind of issues with the data or problems that we want to address. And what are the causes and what are the things that we do need to look at? So what are the root causes? What's our plan to address those pieces with attendance? And then, yes, develop and promoting schools' attendance campaigns. I have a little tiny bit of data here in this presentation, and that bottom one I did update. We had a typo in the original presentation, so I've updated that and it's indicated there. So overall district attendance, we want this number growing. We want it as close to 100% as possible. So you can see the 3-year comparison. 23-24 is obviously current. And we were only able to obtain chronic absentee data for 22-23. So we looked at that and compared it with where we are right now. Granted, small sample size beginning of the school year, but there's a little bit of data there for you. So fiscal impact, financial impact. So there is significant financial impact for improving our attendance in the district. As an example, and thank you, Josie, for providing these numbers. Average daily attendance, so the funds that we receive when students are present in school for each student is $62 a day, 180 days, 11,154. Essentially, if we can move from 93 to 95%, if we kind of take those markers, we want to go higher than 95. But if we kind of look at that, that would generate an additional $900,000 of revenue. So that's significant. That's why we're on this campaign. And so we can use these funds for other things in our district. Our process, again, looking at data, looking at problems of practice, formulating questions about the data on attendance, determining root causes, and then addressing those root causes with specific plans. And the whole time, conveying the importance, continuing to have the signs up and have the messaging out there about attendance and awareness. In doing this work, we see that, and this is from Attendance Works, which is a plethora of resources in this area. And we typically see these 4 categories for why students are absent. So this was kind of a nice framework to look at when we were working with Sunset Ridge. So I'm actually gonna transition now and tell you a little bit, and we're gonna have Principal Cundiff and Assistant Principal Corton give us information about what they are doing at Sunset Ridge. We engaged in a really intensive workshop with San Mateo County Office of Education, right kind of the tail end of last school year with Sunset Ridge. So we were looking at kind of the process that I just described, looking at data, root causes, and determining courses of action. The idea was this process we would extrapolate out and replicate at each of our school sites. It was a very, very interesting and illuminating process. And I'm going to have Principal Cundiff tell you a little bit more about that.
So, I want to just start off by saying the reason we're looking at this is because the kids that are chronically absent, they tend to fall behind by third grade. And then research shows that they end up dropping out of high school because they're struggling. And they're not only struggling academically, but they're struggling with making friendships and maintaining friendships. And so we really want to, make sure that our kids are well, as Dr. Williams has talked about, right? Like we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our kids. So when we looked at root cause analysis, we talked about that parents think, oh, if my child's sick, and misses 18 days of school, it's okay because they were sick. And we don't want kids coming to school when they're sick, but we want to know, like, if your child doesn't have a fever over 100.4, if your child doesn't have diarrhea or vomiting, they can come to school, right? And so sometimes kids might just say, oh, I don't feel like going to school, and parents might allow them to come to school and to stay home. And we want to get the word out that impacts the kids, not necessarily in this year, but in their future. So we're really working on that. And then there's multiple reasons, right? There's mental health, there's housing insecurities, transportation issues, sickness. And so we just want to find out how we can support and help the families at Sunset Ridge.
So I'm Tony, I'm the vice principal at Sunset Ridge. So we have been engaging families and kids with our attendance. Designed some very flashy, fancy posters that are around the school, giving some information, and Ali's going to show one of those in a second. So some of the things we've been doing along with that campaign, the teachers are reaching out to families themselves. So they're we've asked them that every 3 days if a kid is missing to make every day a kid is missing, just to reach out, just to make that connection, because that is really important for, again, improving attendance, just getting kids to make that connection with their teachers. And every 3 days, the teachers will reach out to me and say, hey, I've got a kid who's been missing for 3 days. And I will follow up and I'll make a phone call home as well. So we've been monitoring attendance very carefully. I look at attendance every day. I'm kind of obsessed with the data. It's fascinating to me. I just want to say that Sunset Ridge, compared to last year and the year before, our attendance is up considerably, and it's going up as well. So it's not all gloom and doom. Thanks for the clap. Appreciate that. We use the SST process. The student success team process. So I'm inviting families to come and chat with me, and we work out a plan and we talk about what are the reasons for attendance. And there are myriad reasons why kids are absent from school. It's not a simple, they're sick, they don't want to come to school, or they've gone to Disneyland. It's many different things. One of the things, so we've had staff conduct empathy interviews. Empathy interviews with families and students, and they're compiling out on a beautiful spreadsheet. If you're a fan of spreadsheets, this is a beautiful spreadsheet that they're compiling it on. And we talk about data, and we share data. The parents are really interested in the data as well, because we share it every week on our family newsletters. And we have a weekly update, like a percentage attendance this week is like 93.5, and they can see it's going up. So the parents are saying, oh, we really like seeing that data. We're looking forward to looking at that percentage. And we got some fifth graders as well who are working out I'm asking them to work out the percentage before I put it out. So they're giving them some math problems. Home visits. We're doing home visits, which Ellie and I were kind of really into home visits during the pandemic. I'd hear Ellie call me down the hall and say, let's go and do a home visit. So we go and do a home visit. And we've done some great home visits. There's one story, a kindergarten student didn't come to school for almost 2 weeks. We didn't know where they were. We couldn't get in touch with their parents. We couldn't get in touch with their relatives. And the teacher came to me so worried, I haven't heard from this kid. So Ellie said, I'll watch the class, go and do a home visit. So we got in the car. Oh, we baked cookies first. Ellie showed me how to bake cookies first.
I had to teach him. Yeah, he's learning.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway, we baked some cookies and we went to the house and we knocked on the door and the oldest sister was there and she peeked round and we just said, hi, we're from Sunset Ridge. We're worried about so-and-so. Here's some cookies. It would be great to see them at school. And the next day they were in school.
And the attendance
their attendance is improved. And the parent who was oft, I think, afraid of us for some reason. I don't know why I'm lovely. We're lovely. So, and I think the parents, all of a sudden, this parent is in school all the time. I see them around and they talk to us. It's not just getting the kids in school, it's getting the parents in school as well. And the other thing we're doing is Cougar Pride. Our mascot is the cougar. And every teacher has on their wall a chart with Cougar Pride written out in block capital letters. And every time all the kids are in school, they color in a letter. And we've got one class yesterday told me we're on the D in Pride. So that's great. So that means they've had all that attendance. And yes, I'm super into attendance. You can tell. So there you go.
And then could somebody flip the slides a little?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Next one. Next one.
Next one.
Sorry about that. Next one.
There we go. So this is one of the signs that we have around school in a few different places. And it's talking about missing just a few minutes of school. So, we have some kids that will come to school 2 hours late. One thing that we do is we never say, where were you? What are you doing? We always welcome them and thank them for being there. And it starts with Janine in the office and us in the hallways and teachers. We really just want the kids to know we're happy to see them. And this is just important information. If your child's late 5 minutes every day, that adds up to 3.5 days a year, and then they're missing about 20 lessons. So you can see if a student's late 30 minutes in a year, they miss 22 days of instruction and 123 lessons. So you can see how quickly kids can fall behind. So we really are trying to get kids to understand that, get families to understand that.
Okay, the next slide is that gorgeous hero certificate. We do, like Valimar, we do a weekly broadcast called Monday Morning Meeting, which was a pandemic thing that we came up with where we report to the kids and the kids watch it on the screens. And every week we give an award, and this is the Hero Award. So we look at all the kids who've had perfect attendance for the week and we pull the names out of a hat. And we award this certificate. They don't only get that, they get us come to the classroom, that's a bonus, and also they get a ticket with a free popcorn. We have a snack shack on Wednesdays, and the kids get a free popcorn as well for coming to school. And the kids are really excited when they get those certificates. Great.
Yeah, if they're late, they talk to Mr. Courtney.
Yes.
All right, and then the last slide that we would just want to talk to you about is one of the things we want to do doing the empathy interviews is getting to hear all voices. So we want to do parent empathy interviews. We started with our 5th grade and talking to them to find out, what are things that bring them to school, what makes them excited about learning, and reasons why they miss school, right? So we talked about making it a warm, welcoming environment, and I will say I had to learn the hard way. Probably 10 years ago, we had a student was late all the time. I was in his classroom. He came in late. And the first thing the teacher is like, go back to the office to get a late pass, right? And so now he's later and he's going slower, right? And so at that moment, I realized, we have to say, thanks for coming. We'll take care of it, right? And get them in and get them learning and making sure they feel welcome. You want me to?
Yeah.
We're recognizing good or improved attendance. So just a couple weeks ago, Tony and I looked at who were the severely chronic kids last year, and we looked at the list for this year. And if those kids were not on the list, we went and gave them a certificate. We're calling home to let the parents know, hey, your kid's attendance has improved. Thank you very much. Like Tony said, we're monitoring it frequently. We used to do it, every 30 days, and we're doing that much more often than that. And then we're personalizing outreach. So we have some counselors and they're reaching out to families. We're calling families, doing the home visits. We really want to know what it is that's impeding students' abilities and families' abilities to get their kids to school. And then developing a programmatic response to barriers. So using the data that we get to look at how we can support kids getting to school and engaging families in that process. And we started doing that at the end of last year. And some of the ideas that we're using now are from some of the parents that shared what they had seen at other schools or at their schools. So it's been a great process to go and look at what the root causes are, come up with some plans, and then keep monitoring it.
And another thing we're doing, we have a makerspace, and I was focusing on those kids who were just tardy, constantly tardy. And I reached out to families and said, hey, we have a makerspace. If you want to get them here by 7:30 in the morning, they can come and make things in the makerspace. And those kids are now coming to school at 7:30 and they're on time. So,
yeah, so that's 7:30 to 8:30.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much, Sunset Ridge team. Questions or comments from the board?
Just want to say excellent work. And I know we all have a soft spot in my heart because that's where my daughter when we first moved to California, Sunset Ridge is her home. So just excellent work. Thank you.
I remember during the pandemic seeing pictures. I don't even think you were aware they were taken. Miss kind of reading stories outside of kids' windows at their house. So visiting the homes and reading them stories through the window.
I just want to thank you for the presentation, and I love the home visit idea. I heard about it first when I was in Nebraska. One of my family members, she said that a teacher came to her door, and I'm like, what? and so that's something that they always do before school starts is visit every home, and that way they can see what's really going on with the student. So I love that. And then also where I work when I'm not here, I think it was 37 days so that we're in when I read this. And so if your child has already missed over 3 to 4 days, they're already in that 10 percentile.
Right.
And we're only,
Yeah, those are the kids we're getting because we want to catch them early so that, by the time they get 18, it's too late.
Yes.
Right? So we're trying to catch them early so we can have it impact.
Meeting.
Yeah.
Then also, I just wanted to thank you for putting down how it impacts, our budget too. So if every child just comes a little bit more, not when they're sick, but it could make a difference.
Big difference.
In the services that we offer the kids too, or the teachers, or just school district in general. So thank you.
Trustee Patel.
Yeah, just to echo the sentiment, thank you for the presentation and Mr. Barfield for the overall approach. I have a couple of quick questions. What grades are we seeing the chronic absenteeism most prevalent in?
At Sunset Ridge, it's 1st and 4th grade, and it's been like that for the last 2 years.
District-wide, let me look at that, Trustee Patel, and I can get you that information.
Okay, great. Because it would be interesting to see if it's like, you see reports statewide that it's usually the kindergartner, it's those early grades that seem to have the largest concerns. And it would be interesting to understand if that's also the case with us. The second question I have is, given that you mentioned that this is a statewide problem, and even in San Mateo, chronic absenteeism, I saw a report is around 20%, similar to us in our district. What other options are there? Let's say if a parent does feel like their child needs to stay home because of illness or what have you for multiple days, are there opportunities to give them access to some sort of virtual education or something that would still continue their learning, even if it's not officially counted in our records, but still to create a continuation of learning? Are there any options where a child can be home if they are ill and still get some form of education?
Has a 504 and has medical concerns. So there was a close contact in her class. And so the mom chose to keep her home for 5 days. So we did an independent study because we knew it was going to be over 5 days. So there are some options. If we have, if we get a bit of information beforehand so that we can get the contract and everything signed before. If a student goes out and they are out 5 days, we can't do the independent contract after the fact.
And that's just if they have a 504 plan?
If the parents know, I think this student, the mom is very cautious. And so we have the 504 plan. But if a parent knew that their child was going to be out, we could do an independent study. If the kids are out more than 2 days, we do send homework home so the parents could come back and pick up homework.
So there's communication.
Yeah, there's,
right?
Yeah. And Ms. Breckfield, is this something that's district-wide, that we have certain policies that we can encourage more support for students who may be out for multiple days?
I think that this would be something that we would work with each individual school site on. I would first want to see what practice is being implemented across, the different school sites. And so we can be consistent in what that approach is.
Great. Yeah, I think it would be great to understand what practices exist across each of the school sites for that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And I reiterate everything everyone said. This is great. A great program. Like, the more we can get the kids in the class is beneficial to everyone. So thank you.
I have a follow-up question, kind of to Needy there, but if we're giving independent study to kids who are missing 5 days, would it be helpful if it's in our policies, if it's like 3 days? And I'm only thinking that because I remember one time we were on vacation and my kids couldn't go on independent study because we weren't missing the whole 5 days. And so I was just wondering if that would be helpful to the family, to the kids, if we looked at that.
We could look at that board policy, an independent study. We could look at that definitely and come back with more information. Absolutely.
One more question. If they do independent study, do we get the financial aspect, or is that just the educational aspect? Do we get credit for those days?
If the parents return the work that's given to them, right? So it goes in as an incomplete independent study. And then once the student returns to school and they show their work and the teacher signs off that the work was done, then it goes into as a completed, and then we get the.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much, you guys. Thank you. All right. Next is the first reading of the student policy updates. Mr. Burkeville.
All right. Good evening again. These are we have 6 administrative regulations in the 5,000 series. So in the student series for your consideration. 5 of the 6 we are going with the CSBA suggested revised. So you have that in your red line versions. The one that we are not is we updated one of our exhibits for interdistrict open enrollment. The reason we did that is because we had to, we actually we changed some language about when the 6th grade lottery and the kindergarten lotteries would be held. There were like specific dates in the administrative regulation, and we wanted to soften that a little bit. So we changed it to the kindergarten lottery to not be on the Friday just before President's Day, but sometime during that month before President's Day. Like, that language was updated. And then for the 6th grade lottery, it was in a designated time in January as opposed to a specific date in January. So we made those updates to give us a little bit more kind of leeway in the way that we're doing our process for enrollment. The others are there are 2 for suspension and expulsion for due process. 5144.1 talks about definitions for electronic bullying. It has a distinction between suspension and removal, among other things. 5144.2 really addresses the manifestation determination process in discipline for students with IEPs, and talks about rights for foster youth. We also have 2 ARs for, one for seclusion and restraint, which pretty much just clarifies when those things can be used and for how long. Discipline, it talks about, it's in line with new direction from the Office of Civil Rights. So the AR has been updated to reflect that. And then 5113 is about absences and excuses. And it's according to new laws that have come out. And it's about absence and illness verifications is essentially what the changes were. So that's in the red line that you have. So happy to try to answer any questions that you might have about these updates.
Some of them, it looks like K through 8, but the 8's crossed out and then it says like a 12. And so I was just wondering if that was a mistake.
It's supposed to be eliminate the 12 and be K8.
Yeah, it's backwards.
Okay, I will, let me look at that. It's probably a typo or something with the redlining that went.
I also want to know where in the policy it mentions that you said the manifestation determination.
Yes.
When a student is removed from class, like let's say John is sent down to the office for 1 full class, that also counts as a suspension from class. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that sending the students down to the office for over and over again, that will come into the manifestation determination. And so, and I only know this because I've been through it. So I just want to make sure that that's in there, because when we send a child out of class, you know, it's just like the absenteeism. They're not receiving the information that they need.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was wondering if we could just check on that.
Yeah, let me go deeper into that, that AR, and we'll bring that information. We'll find where that information is for you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, are there any other questions on the student policy updates? Trustee Patel? You're good. Okay. All right, then next we'll move on to first read of, thank you, John. First read of instruction policy updates, Mr. Lucy.
Hi, thank you. This is the first reading for the 6000 series of the education series of policies and regulations. And for the most part, most of the policies that are presented within here are CSBA sample. So we've aligned with CSBA sample, and then we eliminated the languages that were that pertain to high school. So to make sure that it was K, but there's a few notes on some of them. First, the Library Media Center policy, if you remember, back in October of 2022, we passed this new policy, but actually we had to update it because Pacifica School District, along with a number of other districts, do not have teacher librarians. They have LMTs. So what we do is we contract out with San Mateo County Office of Ed, and that librarian kind of oversees to a degree the LMETs and supports the LMETs in their position here. So we had to change the language to align with that. The 6115 was really just adding June 19th, Juneteenth National Independence Day to the ceremonies and observances. Board policy 6173, and which is the education of homeless children, and then also 6173.1. Both of those policies have just been updated due to new law. With the education for homeless children, there we have a liaison, which is through the Student Services Department, to make sure that there's annual training provided for all employees that provide services to students experiencing homelessness. And then there was also an added piece around that administered a housing questionnaire for the purpose of identifying student experiences of homelessness, and the idea of changing the language from homeless students to students experiencing homelessness. Those were the three main changes there. The good news is that we are ahead of these policies. We've already made these changes within our own district. Nicole Ortega does a wonderful job, and Student Services, John, does a wonderful job in making sure that they're aligned. They attend all the district and county meetings and even the state meetings around these changes, because this policy is constantly changing. These policies laws are changing that are affecting the policies, and they're keeping up to date. I did want to note that the education for foster youth, the 6173.1, that alignment to the definition of school of origin and the right for those for foster youth to be to be able to attend their school of origin, and that no policy should block them from doing that. They actually, within that foster youth, they defined at school of origin that's inclusive of foster youth, not just homeless. And then the last policy, the 6177 policy, the Summer Learning Opportunity our ELOP program, which provided 9-hour days for our unduplicated pupils, and then also summer programs. The CSBA sample just puts in language that connects that to ours, because we traditionally haven't been required to provide summer school. But we do provide it within the recommendations around ELOP and that grant. So that was just language change for that purpose.
Any questions? Are there any questions? Trustee Patel? No? All right, thank you. All right. Okay. All right, next. First reading of policy updates 000S and 9000s. Dr. Williams.
Long trip to the coach. Good evening, Board of Trustees. This evening, I come to you with a recommendation. Our policies are updated quarterly, as you know, by CSBA to reflect new laws and changes and to clarify previously used language. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees review and discuss the proposed updates to the board policies for summary of philosophy, goals, objectives, policy updates, the zeros and the 9000s as follows. Policy 0420.4, charter school authorization. This policy has been updated to reference pending litigation brought by each of CSBA's Education Legal Alliances and Napa Valley Unified School District against the State Board of Education regarding its authority to reverse the denial of charter school petitions by making a determination that a board abused its discretion in denying the petition. Regulation 0420.4, charter school authorization. Regulation also updated to expand the materials regarding 1, procedures for suspensions or expulsion, including the requirements for a written notice of the intent to remove the student and the right to initiate a hearing, and material related to processes for notification to the district when the student is expelled or leaves the charter school without graduating or completing the school. Bylaw 9270, conflict of interest. Bylaw also updated to clarify for a board member who manages public investments that when an item or the consent calendar is one in which the board member has a financial interest, the board member is required to either make a motion to remove the item from the consent calendar or abstain from voting on this consent calendar. And finally, Bylaw 9320, meetings and notices. Updates reflect new laws and include requirement to maintain procedures related to notification and receipt of resolution of requests for accommodation for individuals with disabilities, procedures for teleconferencing during a personal emergency and teleconferencing for just cause, procedures to comply with the Brown Act, much like we see this evening, distributed materials to boards after posting of agenda and outside the regular business hours in reference to expiration of the California COVID-19 state of emergency to clarify the use of teleconferencing during a proclaimed state of emergency until January 1st, 2024.
Thank you.
Any questions? A little congested today, but all right.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Next, we're moving on to action items. Certificated substitute rate increase. I believe this is Dr. Torres.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Dr. Williams. Tonight, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve an increase to the certificated substitute rate for the following 2 school years as follows. In order to assist in the certificated substitute shortage, note that the increase of the certificated substitute rate would supersede the prior certificated substitute 50 and 100-day incentive. For 23-24, the daily sub rate will increase from $182.03 to $245. The long-term sub rate from $212.37 to $285. And the Pacifica School District retired teachers would receive the long-term sub rate as their daily rate. For 2024-2025, the daily sub rate would increase from $245 to $255, the long-term sub rate from $285 to $300, and the Pacifica School District retired teachers would receive the long-term sub rate as their daily rate. The increase of the certificated substitute rate would go into effect on Thursday, October 5th, 2023 through June 30th of 2025, pending board approval. The certificate, this is background regarding our shortage. The certificated substitute shortage is a challenge that many school districts, including our school districts, face. The problem not only affects students in a classroom without a substitute, but can affect other educators taking on additional students and can affect the instructional leadership of a school, as our school principals are often stepping in. During the February 8, 2023 board meeting, I presented the Human Resource Board of Trustees mid-year update, which included information regarding certificated substitute shortage. At that time, one of our next steps was to explore and analyze a more competitive certificated sub rate as compared to neighboring school districts in San Mateo County. Since then, an analysis shows that a more competitive certificated substitute rate is needed in the Pacifica School District in order to retain certificated substitutes in our district on a consistent basis and to also attract new certificated substitutes to our school district. Currently, approximately 13 of our approximate 40 certificated substitutes are consistent in taking day-to-day sub jobs in the Pacifica School District. Often our inconsistent subs go to higher paying school districts for sub jobs. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, Trustee Patel.
Right. So with the new rates that you have suggested, Dr. Torres, would that put us in kind of the upper tier of our neighboring districts, our peer districts, or where would we fall based on the new rate?
We would be in the upper tier.
So like the top 10 districts out of the,
The immediate school districts that surround us, for example, South San Francisco Unified School District, Jefferson Elementary School District, and Jefferson Union High School Districts, which are directly next to us, we would be at least $5 more of daily rate. And for our long term, probably about $10 more at least.
And the rates that you captured from the other districts, those are current rates, because I assume many districts are probably doing something very similar to what we are as well.
Yes, I did add a table to the attachment on the agenda that shows current rates. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Were there any more questions on this? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the certificated substitute rate increase as proposed?
A motion to approve.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Vidal,
Yes.
trustee Burkini,
Yes.
trustee Doggett,
Yes.
trustee Patel,
Yes.
trustee Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion passes by 0. Thank you.
Hey, I hope that helps.
Yep. Backside.
Oh,
So do you mind if I just run the copy or do you want?
I have it. I don't need it. I have it on the.
I can grab it.
I'm actually going to pass the thing around. I can.
They can maybe
Well,
read
read
that.
it. There's only 2 paragraphs on the second page, so we can read it off. One of us can read it off.
Okay. All right.
So.
We've got it on our screen.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get it. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Okay. So the next thing we'd like to move on to is our resolution 2023-10-04-8 for the week of the school administrator. So are there any questions regarding this resolution before we read it?
Do we approve it before we read it?
I can't remember.
I think we're supposed to approve it.
I think we will read it and then approve it.
Okay.
So I do not have the back page, so when we get to that page, I'm gonna pass over.
It's right there. Well, Laverne and I can do those 2 paragraphs.
Okay, perfect.
Back page over.
Okay.
It's just been over.
All right. All right, so this week of the school administrator, Pacifica School District, County of San Diego, State of California. Resolution 2023-10-04-A, week of the school administrator. Whereas leadership matters for the Pacifica School District and the students we serve every day. The strong leadership, resilience, flexibility, problem solving, and hard work of administrators supports the ongoing learning of all students and staff. I'll go here and then we'll go back over.
Whereas the title school administrator is a board term used to define many educators, the education leadership posts, superintendents, directors, principals, assistant principals, special education leaders, school business officials, classified educational leaders, including food service, bond, facilities, and instructional technology directors. And whereas
School administrators are passionate, lifelong learners who embrace a growth mindset and who believe in the value of equitable, quality public education. And
whereas school administrators have reimagined their roles to meet the aftermath challenges of the post-pandemic by working alongside their staffs to support them by focusing on student attendance, sharing mental health resources, engaging in learning-focused discussion and feedback, and continue to implement health and safety guidelines and adjusting as guidelines or needs change. And
whereas administrators are lead learners who work hard to stay focused on improving instruction for students by attending professional development alongside their staff, collaborating with their colleagues to share best practices, and supporting staff so they can focus on teaching and learning. And
whereas school administrators understand the importance of family engagement in a student's success and partner with teachers to provide parent support and serve on a wide variety of district committees, including District English Learner Advisory Committee and Special Education Parent Advisory Committee. And
whereas school leaders team with parents, volunteers, community partners, and staff to meet the needs of our students and families and promote ongoing student achievement and school success, serving as an example of public service and pride in our community. And
whereas most school leaders began their career as teachers with the advantage or average educational leaders serving in public education for more than a decade, Most of California's superintendents have served in education for more than 20 years. Such experience is beneficial in their work to effectively and efficiently lead public education and improve student achievement. And
whereas research shows great schools are led by great principals and great districts are led by great superintendents. These site leaders are supported by extensive administrative networks throughout the county and state. And
whereas the state of California has declared the week of October 8th through 14th, 2023 as the week of the school administrator for Education Code 44015.1, and
whereas the future of California's public education system and the more than 6 million students it serves depends upon the quality of its leadership, and now therefore
be it resolved that the Board of Trustees strongly encourages all members of the district community to join us in personally expressing appreciation to our school leaders for their dedication and commitment to the students, families, and staff of the Pacifica School District.
Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2023-10-04-A, the week of the school administrator?
Motion.
And a second?
Yes, I
All right, Barbara.
Trustee Rizal.
yes.
Trustee Christine.
Yes.
Trustee Doggett.
yes.
Trustee Patel.
Yes.
yes,
Passes by 0.
Administrator.
This one doesn't have. Oh.
this one doesn't.
Okay, this doesn't have a back either.
Back either.
You have it on the screen.
But I have
Okay.
it on my screen.
I have it on my screen too.
Okay, how many lines do we have on the other back?
Uh,
All right, next is our resolution 2023-10-04-B, Indigenous Peoples' Day. All right. Board of Trustees, Pacifica School District, County of San Mateo, State of California, resolution number 2023-10-04-B, Indigenous Peoples' Day. Whereas Pacifica School District recognizes Pacifica is built upon the homelands of the Ramaytush Ohlone, and today members of the Arapaho, Choctaw, Yankton, Cherokee, San Carlos Apache, Ponca, Omaha, and many other tribal members live in Pacifica. And
whereas the idea of Indigenous Peoples' Day was first proposed in 1977 by a delegation of Native nations to the United Nations, sponsored by the International Conference on Discrimination Against Indigenous Populations in the Americas. And
whereas in an effort to reveal a more accurate historical record of the discovery of the United States of America, representatives from 120 indigenous nations at the First Continental Conference on 500 Years of Indian Resistance unanimously passed a resolution to transform Columbus Day into an occasion to recognize the contributions of indigenous people despite enormous efforts against Native nations. And
whereas Indigenous Peoples' Day is a holiday celebrated on the second Monday of October in the United States, Indigenous Peoples' Day at its core aims to celebrate and honor the past, present, and futures of Native peoples throughout the United States and acknowledges the legacy of colonialism, which has devastated Indigenous communities historically and continues to negatively impact them today. More importantly, however, Indigenous Peoples' Day moves beyond the narrative of oppression and honors the histories, cultures, contributions, and resilience of contemporary Native peoples. And
whereas there are over 570 Native nations in the U.S. and 6.8 million Americans identify as Native American, about 2% of the country's total population. Yet representation for Native peoples, especially contemporary Native peoples, is seriously lacking, and Native communities still experience a legacy of discrimination as a result. And
whereas Pacifica School District recognizes American Indian people and their accomplishments and contributions, past and present, such as Chief Standing Bear, Ponca, who argued and won in 1879 in the U.S. District Court in Omaha that American Indians were human beings. Sharice Davids and Deb Holland, the first American Indian women elected to Congress in 2019. Ms. Holland currently serving as the 54th United States Secretary of the Interior. No Mascots policy advocate, Suzanne Schoen Harjo, who received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2014, and Sterling Harjo and Taiki Watiti, creators of the first television series Reservation Dogs, with an all-Indigenous regular cast, writers, and directors. And
as Pacifica School District recognizes the facts that American Indian youth ages 10 to 24 have the highest suicide rate compared to any other group, and 84% of American Indian girls and women experience a form of violence and abuse, murder, and misuse Indigenous women in their lifetime. And
whereas the children of the Pacifica School District deserve a well-balanced education that includes the history of American Indian genocide and the struggles and accomplishments of Native American peoples, and deserves to not be taught things that are outdated and seen by contemporary thinkers as mythology. And
whereas Pacifica School District is committed to improving the suspension rates of American Indian children in our schools, Pacifica School District will seek to find alternatives for positive solutions and remedies to nurture the social emotional impact of learning on our American Indian youth in the district. And
whereas countless movements around the world and in the U.S. at the present time by Native people to protect land, fight against climate-destroying projects, and build viable cultural systems. However, Columbus Day remains a widely celebrated holiday in the U.S. that glorifies a false narrative of America's founding and erases the genocide of Native peoples. And
therefore, be it resolved that in October 2023, Indigenous Peoples Day is a holiday where employees and students observe by not attending school. The Pacifica School District provides resources to teachers and training on the appropriate ways to teach about the history, struggles, and accomplishments of Native peoples. I'm not sure, do I need to read the last part?
No, that probably not.
We haven't got enough
line. So then, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-10-04-B to honor Indigenous Peoples Day? I have a motion to approve.
Can I make a motion?
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Berdal,
yes.
Trustee Regini,
Yes.
Trustee Doggett,
Yes.
Trustee Patel,
yes,
Trustee Lewis.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. And then finally, a resolution 2023-10-04-C, board compensation for missing meetings. This was for me. I had a death in the family, so I had to go attend a memorial. So, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Now, Trustee Berdal,
Yes.
yes.
Trustee Doggett,
Yes.
Trustee Patel,
yes.
Trustee Lewis.
Yes.
All right, so finally, Board of Trustees and Superintendent recap and any future agenda items. Do you have any questions, thoughts?
I have one quick
Yes, Trustee Patel.
So I was really happy to see a lot of activity online with parents kind of engaging in Mr. Bartfield's presentation, or maybe it was Mr. Lucy's presentation on the iReady diagnostic test that was given. And there was a lot of maybe misunderstanding because that diagnostic test was given at the beginning of the year. A lot of students don't show as on grade level because they haven't yet done the grade in full. And so it just occurred to me that there might be an opportunity for the district to provide more education and awareness to parents, because there was a little bit of shock and concern, understandably, around those numbers. But just to make sure that we're communicating how this test works, what the expectations are of the district, and the plans to kind of follow through with any concerns that may come up. That's all.
Oh, I have a comment. An afterthought or whatever. The San Mateo County offers a service for free. It's the San Mateo Vector Control. They're the ones who come out and look at our fields and our ticks. So I was just curious, for the parent who was wondering about other things, if they reach out or we could, they don't charge for it either. So it's a free service.
Yes. Thank you so much.
We can use them.
All right. So upcoming, our next board meeting is on. Pull that up. Just
Your work study.
when is our next board meeting? The
25th.
The 25th of October. So that'll be our next one, and we have an ad hoc work study on the 16th,
Monday.
So make sure that everyone knows about that. And if there's no other comments, we'll adjourn at 7:44.
I have the flyers here. Anyone wants
Yes,
them?
Oh, yeah.
I have a virtual one from Mary Beer.
Yeah.